In this section, we're going to be talking about color and coloring. We've gone over a lot of this stuff before, so some of it's going to be review. But I want to dive in deeper. I want to look at the settings and look at everything that we can do with color in Procreate. To start off, let's just tap on the color picker in the upper right-hand corner. We've been through this several times, so you already know that this outer rim changes our color, and on the inside, we can make that darker, all the way down to black, or lighter, all the way up to white. And of course, any color combination in between. But there's another way to change color in Procreate. If we want to be even more exact, we can tap on these three little lines in the upper left-hand corner. When I do that, it takes me to my RGB values. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. If you're not familiar with this, don't worry about it. I started as a web designer, so I'm very familiar with RGB values. And it's basically a number between 1 and 255. And so if I enter in 100 here and then maybe 100 here, we can see the color that I'm choosing is changing. And if I enter in 100 on blue, it's going to be some variation of gray. There may be a time where someone gives you the RGB values, or someone might give you something called a hex color. The hex color you see down here, it's 646464. That's just a number, actually numbers and letters, that represent the value you added above. We're done looking at that. So in the upper right-hand corner of our color picker, there is an arrow that points backwards. We're going to tap on that arrow and go back to our standard color picker. And one of the nice things about our color picker is right now I am on gray, but my color picker remembers what my last color is. You'll see it up at the top. It has that light green shade I was using before. And if I tap on that, I can always go back to my previous color if I didn't like the color that I had. Another thing that we should review that we've been over several times is this idea that we can take the color in the upper right-hand corner, and if I drag it into an enclosed area, I can use that to fill that color in. But there's more that we can do here, so I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to open up my color picker again. You'll see underneath my color picker, there are a series of swatches, a series of colors that we can choose. And so I can just grab any of these and automatically change to one of those colors. It's very easy to add a color to a color palette. All I have to do is choose my color and tap on one of the empty swatches, and there we go. I've added a color to my palette, and anytime I need to access that color quickly, it's right down there for me. If I don't want that color anymore, it's pretty easy to get rid of it. All I do is I tap and hold on that color. You'll see it gets a little bit larger, and then when I move it off the color palette and I let go, it disappears. It's gone. That's how you delete colors from this. Now you've probably noticed that there is an arrow at the top of our little color palette on the right hand side, right above that white swatch. And if I tap that arrow, it takes me to several different palettes that I have available to me. And if you're working on a piece of art or maybe a book or a series of pages that you want to use the same color palette for, you can create a brand new palette by tapping on the plus button in the upper right hand corner of this palette. And there we go. We've got a new palette. Of course, I can always tap on the name. I can rename this anything I want, and I have a new palette, and I'm good to go. This area of our palettes works a lot like layers. Like if I tap and hold on one of these, I can move it around anywhere I want above or below the other palettes. I can also swipe to the left on this, and I can delete it or I can share it. But now that we have our new color palette called Rename, I can tap on the arrow in the upper left-hand corner and go back to my color picker, and I could just start adding colors to this. Maybe I want a slightly brighter purple, and I tap this new square, and I have it right there for me. Maybe I want some red as well. I like some good deep red, so I'm going to add that. Maybe a little lighter version of that as well. So that's how you build up a palette. The other nice thing about this is that palettes are universal to Procreate. If I leave this document and open another document, my color palette is still going to be there. So that's our color picker, how swatches work, and how you can create a palette.